dome shot. So I want to get a picture with the Capitol dome in the background. Let's see if I can get it. That's Maryland State Police.
Tomorrow, or you can vote.
Everybody stay. You guys are here to stay. I recommend staying.
I agree. I have too. I've been here since 7 o'clock this morning.
James Carpenter. I just voted in the White Settlement election. I voted for one president, checked it on the video screen. When I got the paper ballot, it had the other candidate's name on it. Check your paper ballots, everybody.
Wait, it automatically. Hey, thanks for voting. Oh, you got it. Hey, thanks for voting.
Yeah, this is a nationwide issue with Dominion voter access terminals in the counties that use them. And the voter access terminals, of course, not all the machines, just the ones that are accessible, have an issue with the straight party voting and a programming issue that's again affected the machines nationwide. And I think all of us that use Dominion machines were unhappy to learn about this during the testing period and as early voting began. So we're working with Dominion to seek accountability on that front, and also are working with our clerks to ensure voters are aware of this programming issue that will require them to ensure they are voting every section on the ballot.
Bigger issue in Michigan because we do allow voters to cross over in ways that a lot of other states don't.
Because we have straight party. It's not struck me as I've talked to my other colleagues in other states. They're just as upset about it as we are. So, yeah.
We put this festival on you bastards with a lot of love. We work for 1 year for you pigs. Oh, you want to break our walls down? Oh, you want to destroy it? Well, you go to hell.
Real Deal Media's election 2024 coverage. Good evening, everybody. I am Dean Ryan, who is reporting to you here at this late night and will be for night one of Real Deal Media's finest election coverage, the best you're going to find out there in the business here as things are really tightening up, as the aroma, the stench, the sulfur-like smell is just that of fraudulence, interference, and suppression. Those are the three main ingredients for this deep state goulash that they're really forcing down the American voters and the Canadian voters as well. Tonight, we're going to be getting into just that. We're going to have a rotating just roundtable of guests throughout the next 5 days. In election night and day, we're going to be throughout all of the spectrum for just multiple hours at hand accordingly. But tonight we're going to be getting into the suppression, what that entails, all the just black ops drills happening in D.C. right now. I'm making the calls to see exactly what kind of drills are going down in D.C. We're going to be getting into just that with some incredible footage from one of our Real Deal Media Night Owls members who saw the DHS in Iowa and rows of Ford F-150s, if we want to call it that. Just exactly what do they have in mind? Plus, in the international section, we're going to be tying a huge scandal with Israel and Italy and how that's affecting us, but also major leakage happening in Canada as a leaked document that is going to give you the chills to the bone when I tell you the verbiage, the occultic type of verbiage that has been given to Justin Trudeau and on exactly what the powers that be are insisting that he does to his own people. And you better believe that same kind of sentiment is happening right here in the United States. And we better understand and figure out what exactly we're all going to be wearing next week as the new civil war is now coming to fruition. So they hope. So anyways, we were broadcasting live here tonight on a whopping Friday on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. And we are heavily shadow banned, everybody. I need to say this more, but the new algorithms that are now set forward for this November to remember are now eliminating all channels, all kinds of shows that are talking like us, especially yours truly here, who's under the gun and just well over the target at this point. So share these if you can, and let's beat through the suppression that's happening right now, not just on voters, but the people covering it. So that's what I want to start off here tonight. As you saw in the cold opening there, quite interesting to see the long lines now in Pennsylvania. We have stories about Colorado. We're going to have a follow-up story on the burning ballots of Washington and Oregon, what that entails and just what that means. But let's get started here with a little report now that puts it all in perspective from an incredible reporter, young guy out there named Greg Reese, as now he's tackling something that rhymes with rod. Voter rod, that's what it is. Here it is.
Voter fraud is as old as voting itself, and voting machines have been designed to make fraud easier.
After witnessing election irregularities associated with the 2020 U.S. presidential election, we decided to direct time and resources to Cartel del Sol links to U.S. and global election fraud. It is indisputable. Smartmatic Election Systems was created at the direction of now deceased Venezuelan dictator Hugo Chavez, and its source code, the basis of its operating system, developed jointly by Venezuela's Consejo Nacional Electoral and Smartmatic, was designed to allow election results to be altered without the knowledge of voters and the public.
Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold posted a spreadsheet that listed the password of the state's voting systems. And after she was caught, she said it's not a security threat.
To be very clear, we do not see this as a full security threat to the state. This is not a security threat.
This is not the first time that your office has made mistakes that have damaged voters' confidence in our elections. In 2022, your office sent out mailers to 30,000 non-citizens inviting them to register to vote. They, of course, are not eligible to register to vote. That same year, your office used Colorado's ballot tracking system to send messages to specific Coloradans encouraging them to vote when, in fact, they had already voted, causing confusion that had to be cleaned up by the county clerks. And now this leak of the voting system passwords. Given your office's repeated errors that have damaged confidence in our elections, which you say is paramount, will you resign?
Absolutely not, Kyle.
And now we are seeing videos of voting machine glitches. At this year's DEF CON conference in August, hackers found security gaps in voting equipment, but it hasn't been fixed. But voting machine fraud is old news. The new election fraud tool is non-citizen voters. Catholic Charities have not only been managing the illegal border crossings, they have been registering them to vote. Groups of non-citizens have been seen early voting with the help of NGO handlers. The Texas elections chief told poll workers to give ballots to people who showed non-citizen IDs. And while the Supreme Court decided to allow Virginia to remove non-citizens from voter rolls, the poll workers are being instructed to submit a special form for them to vote, which will tie results up for another week after Election Day.
Signed up to work this November 5th election poll here in the county that I live in Iowa. I wanted to see firsthand for myself if illegal immigrants are actually being allowed to vote. This is what we've been instructed. Even if they say that they're a U.S. citizen, and I still question it, any of us question it, they still are allowed to vote. They will be given this. This is a provisional ballot. Basically, what that means is you still get to vote. The voting stops at 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, however many of these provisional ballots that we have, those are accumulated, and then they are all shoved in an envelope together, sealed, and then they go somewhere else. They have from November 5th through November 12th to bring information to verify that they're actually a U.S. citizen. Let me repeat that. They have until 12 p.m. on November 12th to present the proper identification to prove that they're a U.S. citizen.
Do we understand this? We have a illegitimate federal government that is masquerading as U.S. government, just like Canada has it, just like England has it, the entire West right now, as the consolidation of the world is now in full effect. And that's why the miracle jabs are now coming out to play, because it's really coming down to the entire miracle jab enforcement was because people were waking up too fast, just like that Goldberg whistleblower, Adam Goldberg, said to us in 2020 before they killed him, as he warned. And you better believe Israel's behind this. You better believe China's behind this. And they are the two-headed snake right here. Here we go. So now let's get to some political headlines here. There's so many I can't keep up. My head's spinning like Linda Blair right now. It's insane. Well, election coverage, night one here, is we have 5 hard days to just spend together, and hopefully you enjoyed last night's Halloween special. We've got to enjoy those moments while we still have them, but moving on now. Well, let's now just hop on and piggyback on that just wonderful Colorado woman that said absolutely not, Frank, who won't resign when she's given everyone's passwords, that little peeping just Tina, we'll just call her. But let me tell you about this, because her name's Jenna Griswold, no relation to the Griswold family, but now she breaks 2024 election codes in Colorado. Results will be 100% non-certifiable, warns Patrick Byrne, who's got a lot to say here. Patrick Byrne, if you don't know, he does watch this show. Well, there's been, quote, a leak of passwords in Colorado that will render the 2024 election, at least in the state of Colorado, and make it, quote, completely meaningless. Well, constitutional advocate Patrick Byrne shared the following video, or has been sharing a following video that I'm not sure I can show you, but as they're preparing to nullify the 2024 election entirely. Well, George Soros' plant in total hag and some say horror, Jenna Griswold, Colorado's Secretary of State, revealed that, quote, partial passwords for the voting system components were mistakenly posted on an official website in a spreadsheet. These people are committing treason. They're falling into a huge trap. Do we think Trump doesn't know this? Anyways, moving on. Well, Newsweek has credited with breaking the news about how Colorado accidentally published these voting passwords in a major error and a glitch that they promised to fix, so next election it won't happen. Well, the spreadsheet contained more than 600 partially bio passwords for voting system components across 63 of Colorado's 64 counties, Byrne explained recently. Wow, so Jenna Griswold, it fails to inform election judges about the breach. How convenient. She won't do it. She won't do it. Now, it's worth noting, too, Patrick Byrne, you remember him, he's also said it's now been mentioned, and Mike Adams has covered this, too, and Mike may be joining us at any day, tomorrow night, but they're now saying that there's a weird grin on Obama in Harris's face. Why that is, because they are now 100% sure they have rigged the election in preparing to do a lockdown. That's why you saw the Black Hawk drills coming out of the DC, the helicopters and everything, because they're preparing for mass disruption people being pissed off. This is the moment. This is what they want because they got outside forces now inside the country with an open border. We have heretics running this country. We have enemies of the state, enemies of the community, and enemies of this country right now with their hand on a backwards, upside down Bible from hell itself. Continuing. Well, now what about Michigan, you might ask? Well, now Michigan sheriff announces criminal investigation into, that's right, 2020. So this is it. Election crimes, Dominion voting. And I begged the question just days ago, what's the point of voting when we're still using Dominion? This seems like a ruse. This seems like one big sting operation on a grand level, because what does this do? If and when Trump takes it and then they decry election fraud, did I say that? Well, then we bring all the evidence that was not allowed in court for the past 4 years for the 2020, whatever the hell that thing was. But let me tell you now, this is how it's going to look. Continuing now, Barry County Sheriff Dar Leaf has just announced in a press release that his office has referred to a case regarding election-related crimes to the Texas Attorney General's office. Now, remember, this is key. Texas Attorney General Paxton was stripped of his power weeks ago from prosecuting election crimes. This is why the Democrats have been focused on Texas. This is why the weather weapons have been focused on Texas and Florida. If they get Texas, Georgia, and all these other states to the East Coast are irrelevant. According to the press release, the sheriff's office will release more information about the compromising voting machines, and the conspiracy of crimes, wire services frauds, honest services fraud, and perjury charges. And that's just to name a few of the little crimes of the bigger picture here. Now, illegal voting exposed in Michigan ahead of the election. That's right. Man reportedly registered to vote in the polling places last weekend using his university ID and other documentation to prove he lived in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and then voted. He now faces deportation. Yeah, that's right. It's not known whether it was a isolated incident, part of a broader scheme by China to interfere with the election. Federal investigators are looking into it. However, authorities say that the vote cannot be nullified, sadly, after going through the tabulator, and therefore will remain as a counted vote. Do you see how the fix is in? The winds of war are howling, never this loud before until now. Continuing here as a follow-up to what happened with Oregon, what happened with Washington, a wonderful question in a new series that's blooming. Well, ballot drop boxes have been set ablaze once again in Oregon and Washington, prompting security concerns ahead of the election. Gee, you think, I wonder who's doing it. And, this is why you shouldn't be smoking around ballot boxes. They just burst up in flames, don't they? Well, at least 2 ballot boxes that we shared with you just days ago have been set ablaze in Oregon, Washington State, destroying an unknown number of ballots. We've all seen the videos. The most recent incident occurred in Vancouver, Clark County, Washington, and there's still no suspect, as we reported to you. It happened around 4 a.m. And here's the best part of it in this follow-up story. Well, the U.S. Attorney's Office and Federal Bureau infiltrators are actively getting to the bottom of it, investigating this fire that happened in Washington, pledging to hold all those responsible accountable. The election officials confirmed that all the ballot boxes in the Multnomah and Clark counties are equipped with fire suppression systems, which helped save over 400 ballots just recently. Well, now in a stunning turn of events, what happened in Portland, it just didn't stay in Portland now, as now authorities have identified a suspect vehicle as a dark-colored 2001, possibly 2004 Volvo, seen leaving the Portland area of the burning ballots incident. Oregon Governor Tina Kotek condemned any attempts to intimidate voters or undermine the electoral process or get in the way of their cheating this wonderful fraudulent election steal, asserting that such actions are, quote, un-American and also un-Chinese as well, and yes, unacceptable. Meanwhile, the Oregon Secretary of State, Lavon Griffin, yes, current communist himself, emphasized that the attacks of the ballot boxes threaten the Chinese democracy itself and are unjustifiable regardless of their motivation. Yes, there it is. What violent talk this is. What violent talk. Well, just to show you some of the propaganda, when you have some of the worst, when you have the worst, just incredible, just dumbfounding candidate with Kamala Harris, who's nothing but a puppet, a drunk, a barfly. Why would they bring out Eminem? Why would they bring out all these A-listers? And why would they sign their name to this candidate and come out of the woodworks? Well, here's another example of that. Jennifer Lopez, the former girlfriend of Puff Daddy and the current wife, I believe, of Ben Affleck. Well, now she's speaking, and she wants you to vote for Kamala Harris if you haven't already done so yourself. Check this out. It shows you what we're up against here.
I promised myself I wouldn't get emotional, but you know what? You know what? We should be emotional. We should be upset. We should be scared and outraged. We should. Our pain matters. We matter. You matter. Your voice and your vote matters. And look, don't be afraid to make people around you uncomfortable. Invite people around you to be the change, to go out there and vote. Nobody likes having tough conversations or talking about politics, but trust me, I've been in some of these rooms. I see the way power works in this country. They love it when you do nothing, okay? A non-vote is an agreement. It just makes it easier for them to do whatever they want, whatever serves them. And this election is about your life. It's about you and me and my kids and your kids. Don't make it easy. Make them pay attention to you. That's your power. That's your power. Your vote is your power.
She's so right. God, I have power. I never knew until Jennifer Lopez told me. Oh, thank you, J-Lo. Excuse me about that. She just made me so emotional. So electrifying she is. Okay, we're going to just kind of change gears here for a minute here, because I have to tell you about this now. Now, you know, we have a lot of people whose eyes are on the prize, but also ears are on the ground as they see something, they're saying something, and they're sharing with all of you out there, because we want to know what you see on your end of the spectrum, whether it's, well, the following. Or the following, let me tell you about it first. Okay, so this is coming out of Iowa. Now, you know, there's a lot of things happening with Iowa. It's the highest cancer per capita. It's also the homeland's cafeteria. A lot of the food is grown in middle of America. The question was, how do we not just own these farms, but how do we invade it? And how do we suppress the hardworking and the backbone of the United States that's feeding the United States? Well, this is from one of our viewers. I want to share this with you, but let me tell you, what you're about to see here is a row of pickup trucks that have been unannounced for what they're calling a Homeland Security meeting at a firehouse. Now, remember all of the partnerships with the neighborhoods and the DHS and FEMA together. The two-headed snake became just one big-headed snake, as they're now coming together. Now, Judicial Watch COVID Project Special Report has now recently revealed facts, including an executive summary quote, described Echo Health Alliance work in creating a, quote, mutant virus from bats using indispensable technology furnished to the Chinese by University of North Carolina professor Ralph Barrick, a world-leading expert on the coronapaloozas and gain-of-function research. Yeah. Well, the documents detail research being funded by National Institutes of Health over there in the U.S. right here in bioweapons laboratories in the Wuhan cafeteria itself. Well, to make chimeric viruses by splicing foreign proteins onto bat and so on, meaning they're continuing this process. And this is why there's this new worry now. You have San Francisco and a lot of the healthcare officials in the United States now wearing masks again. You're seeing a lot of re-implementations of it. Just exactly what are they preparing for? Well, check this video out. Maybe you can get a little idea exactly what are they preparing for, because monkeypox is just not cutting it anymore. late here. Very interesting. Was everyone just aware of that? They're having all these meetings everywhere. They're not telling you what it is. They're now usurping your churches with the clergy response teams. You go to a new church now. What's your information? What's your shoe size? And do you want to be cremated or be in a coffin? We're just curious. Do we see how this works? Okay, so here's what we're going to do now. When we get back here, we're going to go overseas now and just start scouring across the international waters now, because I have to share with you something that is a real bugaboo to what we're trying to achieve here to reignite the sovereignty in our lives. But when we get back, I'm going to tell you about an Israeli-Italian spy scandal. And whatever Israel does, wherever they're going, they're going to want to pull us down, because to quote Benjamin Netanyahu, if Israel falls and gets destroyed, they're going to take many other countries with them. So I'm going to tell you about the Milan to Mossad scandal that's just rupturing and rapturing across the headlines and the hallways of news. Plus, the big one I want to share with you, whether you're from Canada or not, I'm going to share with you some documents that are going to make you just chill to the bone. And this is the kind of sentiment that is being given to the so-called leaders right now, not just Justin Trudeau. And it's going to give you a little insight of what they're preparing to do to all the West right now. And you've got to pay attention to this one. So anyways, we're going to take this quick break. We're going to gear up for that. You don't want to miss this after the break, right here at Real Deal Media's Night 1 coverage of Election 2024. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this quick break.
After a long, demanding day, you deserve the best. No judgment, no stress. Shower, vape, relax, Curvana.
Where's Carrie Lake actually on CNN?
Did you lose the 2022 election for governor?
Why are we looking backward? I'm looking forward, Caitlin.
Because
I
you've
already
yet
know
to
what you're
concede that race.
Well, I want to make sure our elections are run properly, and I'm still in litigation, so I don't want to speak to that.
You don't want to call a woman an asshole, but I'll make an exception in this case. That woman is an asshole. And Carrie's just magnificent. She was beat up. The election was stolen from her. And we all know that. This is a typical Democrat hacks. That's a perfect example of a Democrat hack. And you can send her this video so she knows I said it.
Welcome back to Real Deal Media's Night 1 election coverage here, the 2024 election coverage. I'm still Dean Ryan, who's cruising with you in midnight and slightly there as we're going to have kind of a condensed version here tonight until we get to the big day itself. We'll be having people just coming in and out of the doors. We're going to also do a focus here of you, the viewers, wherever you are around the world. What are you seeing? Because these are the moments that count, everybody. These are the times that decide our fate as a country, as a community, friends, family, and so on and so on. Okay, so let's continue here. Well, I want to share with you with the following now. Now, this is an incredible story. You know, Netanyahu, who is really pushing for war with Iran, and even stated just right before the Trump assassination attempt that what if Iran was to just assassinate Trump? We need to go to war with them. If they do so, he's setting the stage, and he doesn't care who knows that he's setting the stage and that he's the wizard with absolutely no clothes. Well, this is something very interesting now. And there's a recent report that has now just come out that indicates Israel's spy agency Mossad, the most intrepid, just POS, just terrible, satanic just organization out there, was involved in deals with Milan over there in Spain, based firm Equalize. A Milan-based firm called Equalize. Well, excuse me, not in Spain, Italy. I do apologize. My geography is a little round robin. Well, Italy has now engulfed in major espionage scandal following allegations that private investigative firm led by former and current high-ranking security officials unlawfully accessed personal information about prominent figures, including Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni for purposes of extortion. Do we see what they're doing here? This is what Mossad does. This is what Mossad does. And we know it. Continuing. Well, Meloni denounced the suspected plot as, quote, unacceptable by a threat to democracy, while Defense Minister Guido Crosetto called for urgent parliamentary investigation, citing concerns that state secrets could be at risk. So when you take this into account, apply it to your neck of the woods, Mossad's behind a lot of this. Mossad, forcing us to go to war. And if Israel goes to war with Iran, who just happens to be part of BRICS nation, it would be equivalent to Russia going to war with a NATO country. Then you have NATO on your just derriere at your doorstep waiting to go to war with you. That's why Russia is by Iran with their military. That's why North Korea has moved their shipments, their troops into in near Moscow. That's why China is near Gaza. It all makes sense now. It's just incredible. Well, here's the Israeli connection now, because this is happening everywhere. It gives you a little skewer look into just how things really are. Well, the Italian media portrayal, the scandal of the high-level conspiracy involving members of the mafia intelligence operatives, yes, foreign agencies, including Mossad. Well, 4 individuals were arrested in investigation into alleged illegal dossiers centered around Equalize. Well, they're identified as former police. Yes, they are heads of Equalize, along with hackers, and interrogations of 4 suspects have begun Thursday. Now, just what I shared with you there, now, that is very interesting, because as we shared with you roughly about a week ago, we were talking about unmarked planes now that just happen to be circling around the Gulf, trying to stir up another hurricane. If you recall that little incident we talked about. Now, those same planes we can share with you, report to you, are now circling around. They're circling around from coming from Hawaii to San Diego. Oh, yeah. You might have heard about this. In fact, if I had a picture, I'll show you once I accomplish that. But as I'm looking for that, now here's something that Trump said about Mark Cuban, who just got thrown out of the Kamala Harris campaign. And let me show you the unmarked planes. But look at what Trump's going all the way, but he's playing a very cool hand, and I'm wondering why. Well, here's what he said recently, today. Mark Cuban, a really dumb guy who thinks he's, quote, hot stuff, but he's absolutely nothing, is now out there saying that I don't surround myself with strong women. Actually, he's very wrong. I surround myself with the strongest of women, with the understanding that all women are great, whether strong or not strong. This guy's such a fool. He's constantly on television being critical, and only for the reason that I tuned him out completely while president, because he's called incessantly. I told him very pointedly, quote, look, Mark, I've got a lot of things to do. I just can't be taking so many pointless calls from you. In any event, that affected him greatly, because he's a very insecure guy and a major loser, always has been and always will be. Nobody likes him. Nobody respects him. He's unattractive, both inside and out. You should go back to talk about the person he was forced to support, because I didn't want it. Lying Kamala Harris. And he's also got a club head. He's got no club head speed. Okay, so yeah, then he says, Mark looks like a baby, and you get the point. You get the point. But my point was, which I'll try to find this after the fact, is we have we have adversaries in this country that are really playing up to the UN's Agenda 2030. And I want to share this with you. So here, look at this. This gets scrubbed off the internet quite often. I often keep a lot of just mementos for my scrapbook. Is this historical time to be alive? But we have NGOs, we have adversaries, whether they're being manned by real life pilots or just by autopilots. This is the goal right here. And this is a great segue to where we're about to go in with Canada. Well, look at this. The New World Order UN Agenda 2030. Well, here's some of the goals. I've shared this before. One world government, one world cashless society, military, the end of the family unit, government-raised children, the end of immigration, the end of private farms and grazing. So these are some of the goals they need to achieve the Great Reset. But also, one of the biggest goals that is not helping their achievement of the Great Reset are the people who have woken up even before 2020. For those of us who've been doing this and been awake for a long time, it's just a twiddling our thumb game that's very frustrating. But what are they going to do? Because not everybody, I'm not convinced everybody in Canada or US took as many miracle jabs as they want us to believe. But I'm about to show you now a leaked document that was sent to Justin Trudeau just in the past few days. And I want you to pay attention to the wording. I'm going to go over the whole thing and I'm going to dissect it line by line, just exactly what this means. It's very occultic. Pay attention. It's in the key of B. Keep up with the changes. Here we go. Well, and we want to thank Rebel Mama for this opportunity, and thank you for sharing this for us. It's coming out of the National Post. Well, a petition to the Right Honorable Justin Trudeau, Redeemer of Canada, sworn protector of the climate and environment, defender of reconciliation, bringer of equity, shepherd of diversity. No, this is dated back to the 23rd of October, AD. AD, is that really necessary to put AD? Continuing, whereas Canada has entered a sunlit uplands of peace, prosperity, and brotherhood under your sage and ready steerage. Okay, continuing. Whereas illuminated by your enlightened counsel, Canada has been born again and emancipated from dark and tyrannical past, unmatched in the annals of human cruelty. Whereas Canada and Canada alone stands up as a bulwark against the anthropogenic destruction of natural world and extinction of all life on earth, whereas members of this party did not know worthy human lives before your accession existed an endless firmament of defeat and ignominy. Oh, wow, isn't that something? Let me just go back to that. You know, I've heard of love letters before, but this is just next level. Let's go back to page 2 now. So this is coming from deep inside the Liberal Party of Canada. And you could already just kind of see the stench of the occult in the brotherhood, the brethren. This is very Bohemian Grove. Remember what James Martinez told you many times, too. Justin Trudeau is not just a practitioner, but a victim of Pizzagate-like activities from his past. Let's continue, shall we? And here we go. Well, continuing. Whereas our devotion remains totally unswerving, our hearts beating as one in common solitude. Two hearts beat as one. Where have we heard that song before? Whereas our program is perfect, our orthodoxy without fault, your virtue supernatural. Whereas all that came before is unspeakable ruin. Meaning there was no such thing as living in life before you, Justin. You are the perfect drug, as Trent Reznor told us. Continuing here. Well, whereas all that became is unspeakable ruin, we, the undesigned, call for your preeminence to heed our humble entreaties that the electoral situation has developed not necessarily to our advantage. So they're admitting, the powers that be, the Liberal Party, are admitting some significant challenges in this election. Oh, this gets even creepier. Let it simmer here. Here we go. Continuing. We, the design, call for your permanence. Yeah, so we don't have the advantage. They're saying this much is clear. Your devoted service to a grateful nation is beyond reproach. You are our maestro, our demurge, our almighty. In all things you have striven only from the common happiness of all peoples, the deliverance of our nation from humiliation. Our gratitude defies corporal boundaries. No quantity of exaltation is too much. No platitude is overbroad. Should the assembled peoples of the nation labor for thousands of years of peons to your magnificence, it would represent. Wow. You talk about laying it on thick there. This is the buildup here. But there's a bigger plot twist coming here. So let's go to page 3 here. And if this is too much for you, well, that's just the way it is right now. Now, here we go. Here's the last line here, and we have another page to get to here. Well, here it is. As such, it causes deep, irredeemable pain in begging your forbearance to consider that our unqualified confidence in your ministry may not be wholly shared by our constituents. What does that mean? What does that mean exactly? Meaning they're calling the people of Canada stupid. The people that run Canada stupid. That you don't even have a vote. You're half a human, just like Animal Farm from George Orwell told you. You're not, everybody's equal, but some of us are more equal than others. Remember what Eric Blair, formerly of MI5, MI6, told us, aka George Orwell. All right, continuing here. Here we go. For the roundup here. Well, the people are weak. They are impulsive, naive, and at the mercy of primitive impulses. They cannot hold out against this darkness. We see but one path to salvation. You must accede to a new plane of leadership. You must see to a new plane of leadership, they're saying. Oh, over your people. You must assume a position of authority unmoored by the quotidian demands of human governance. You must become a prime minister of the sublime, guiding an unchanging beacon in the cosmos. What a romantic. We're not asking for your resignation. We're asking you to assume your rightful place in the ethereal lodestar in the hopes of dreams of your people rather than a physical one, to transcend your mortal office and assume the eternal leadership of this nation. The limits of what you can achieve as an earthly head of government have been met. They are perfect. You must now become the prime minister of righteousness, the leader of all virtue, the unerring and the martyred symbol of people who forsook your message. Only in the sacrifice can this nation be cleansed of sin. Most effectively yours. Signatories deleted. Ladies and gentlemen, the love letter I just wrote, or read rather, I could have wrote better, but it was not just occultic, but it shows the elitism and the blueprints in what has just been greenlit in Canada, and you better believe right here in the United States and England as well. In Australia, you're next. In New Zealand, we just assumed it happened already. You better believe that this is the green light to now exterminate all of the so-called conservatives, people that don't go along to get along. They want to imprison. If you don't go along with the fake narrative that they're now forming, they're going to be implementing right now. They're going to call for people to be in prison who are Christians because they're domestic terrorists. Remember the vast right-wing extremists that Newsom said, that Trudeau said? They're going for it now because that was a cryptic letter to say to Trudeau, if you don't put a kibosh on these people, on the Oliveira Polieris, the people of Alberta, the United States next of kin, you're going to die. So you take care of them. Don't worry about the physical because you have been accepted in the heavens, they're saying. This is so Hitlerian. that you will be not only rewarded, but forgiven for all of the actions you must take against the peons, the stupid people of Canada. That's what that letter was. No doubt about it. And we have to expose it, and we just did. And nobody's talking about that. Nobody has the gall to talk about it. But we do right here, and that's why we're shadow banned. And when I find the people doing it, I'm going to break their bloody nose. All right, so that's how that one goes. Thank you, Rebel Mama, for that. What say you out there? How are you feeling tonight? Who's ready to crack skulls, break noses, and just take names while we do it? Because I'm pumped. I'm ready to do it. I'm going to lead the cavalry. Okay, let's go to some people here. I need to just get out. If you want to call in too, this is your platform here. This is our bully pulpit to have a voice before we don't have one. Feel free to call in at your leisure. Join the convo. Jim will probably be with us tomorrow night. I'll be back. I'm going to be back every single night until we get through this election. I made the promise. No matter my pains, my anguish, no matter the amount of just errands I have to run tomorrow, I'm going to do it. Okay, so here we go. And if you want to call in on Rumble, feel free to do so. I'm going to read some of your statements. Are you? That was chilling. That was chilling. If you can read between the lines there, that is bone chilling. Because they know these people are going to get killed. Right now, they're going to be locked. We're going to martial law here in both of our countries. The entire North American continent is going to be under martial law. We're going for it. I'm going for it too. I'm not sitting back anymore. I'm pumped. I've got a bad attitude and a chip on my shoulder. And what am I going to do about it? I'm going to do something. So here we go. Let's see what people are saying here. We have a caller in, and maybe he will tell us about Iowa. We have Liz Marchant saying, hope my blood pressure can stay in check over the next week. Liz, we have to ask ourselves, too, what will we be wearing for the Civil War next week, too? What do you want to go out in blaze of glory? I'm still deciding my attire, and maybe could use some of your help. Thank you very much. We have Dr. Detroit, who says Canada identifies as India. Yes, they do. They might have the new Ganges River Part 2 coming. Belinda says, we need you, Dean. No, I need you, and we need each other, and that's what makes boys and girls just get along so well. And finally here, and we're going to go to our caller, Nigel Dyer says, if these demons get into power, it will make the Holocaust look like a playground. Nigel, that is one of the most sophisticated observations I've heard since earlier in the show this evening. And finally, Teresa Ertman, Canada might, but Alberta won't. Oh, no, Alberta won't. That's why they're going to try to do natural disasters there. And Rebel Mama, you said it right. Extremely creepy. That's right. You bet it's extremely creepy. And Maddie Lynn says some of the voter machines are putting Trump's name last on the lineup, so people have to hit next screen to find him. Where you ask? California. Well, I can assure you in Orange County that's not the case. But yeah, throughout the big, huge just country called California, yeah, that's happening all over the place. And there's going to be they're going to try to punish the people who voted for Trump. They have a whole list now. Just like the people that try to get rid of Newsom and the recall, they punish these people. And I'm saying I want to be punished too because I need some busy hands or happy hands, everybody. All right, let's talk to Mr. Watland, who can just set me straight here. Okay, Mr. Watland, who is saying hello. I'm saying hello too. I see you.
Yeah, hello.
Okay, here we go. Thank you for calling in here. Let's talk turkey here. What you saw in Iowa, or what you know somebody saw in Iowa, because there's a lot of action happening right now in the middle of this country.
Well, they had a meeting in our town. It was originally, the mayor said that was going to be attended by Ickley and Mike Benson, I believe, from Homeland Security, was going to attend this meeting, and they were going to discuss issues related to the flood and FEMA.
Oh, I'm sure.
Anyway,
no, we can't put it past these guys to do the disease X that judicial report was talking about. They want to put the avian flu into the food supply, which is where in Iowa, places Idaho, the middle of the country. They want to eliminate and do a culling of a million cows and chickens. Go ahead, Mr. Watland.
Anyway, they backtracked on the name of the meeting. They then called it a flood center meeting. And there's somebody that's ahead of this flood center, and I didn't jot the name down. But anyway, Mary and I I couldn't go to that meeting for one reason or another. I couldn't attend it. But the next morning, I see all these white Chevrolet pickups. They're exactly the same. There's no markings on them, which is, to me, is highly suspect that, it's they're doing these things in secret, and which I remember from a couple years ago past that there was a whole bunch of white trucks. I inquired about the white trucks and found out that the Homeland Security had a meeting at our fire station. Now, this meeting was at the Clay County Event Center. So maybe the fire station kind of maybe backed off from having a meeting there, or maybe that they thought that the attendance was bigger. They needed a bigger venue. But, all these white pickups got my attention. So I had Mary as kind of my cameraman. I drafted her, and she took the pictures, and then she tried to get the license plates. There were several counties, including Polk County, Cerro Gordo, Woodbury, O'Brien, different counties around Iowa, and there was a bunch of them. And they appeared to be having breakfast at a local bar that that I have ate at. The food's good, but it's nothing to write home about. But
wow. Well, you know what, Mr. Watland, I have to ask you because the rampant, the flagrant fraudulence happening right now in this country, in the United States.
Yeah,
to me, it's as big as 2020. There's
right.
We saw just the fraudulence we saw 4 years ago, just as bad. What do you think the difference is now? I want to ask you, because you're on the ground, you're seeing things, you're driving through all these just Ford Tundras. What's the difference between now and 4 years ago?
Well, we got weather weaponization, and I wanted to get into some of this Judicial Watch findings on their COVID summary if I can, because there's a whole big side issue with that. This Barrick out of North Carolina, Ralph Barrick, a world-leading expert on coronavirus gain-of-function research. This guy was from the University of North Carolina, was where I believe his lab and his research was being done at. Now, they also had they were being funded by National Institutes of Health and bioweapons labs in Wuhan, China, to make chimeric viruses. I don't know what a chimeric virus is, but splicing.
I'll tell you what that is. Mr. Watt, let me tell you what that is. A chimera virus, it's where the monkeypox has stemmed from. It's in the miracle jabs. It's other forms of animal DNA now splicing with the human DNA. But continue, please, as I show the people Judicial Watch's report on this. Continue. Go ahead.
Anyway, they splice these foreign proteins on there, and that makes them more transmissible, infectious, and deadly to human beings. And these there's a whole side issue with some of the weather weaponization that I'm seeing, as they're sending hurricanes into that area where he's at, where his research is being done. And also Tennessee, if you remember, they outlawed geoengineering of the sky, or what they call.
That's true.
They made it against the law to do that over Tennessee sky, and Tennessee abuts right up to North Carolina, and they both got hit really severely hard. And,
That's right.
and also Georgia too. So Florida coast.
Well, this is a really stunning development because Tom Fitton, he doesn't just get into things; he gets to the bottom of things. So
I got so much here. There just isn't time probably to go over it. But
no, but just giving us a inkling of it with everything just coming at us at once, this makes sense that they would do something like this and probably put their sights into the food supply of the United States. This is why there's a lot of activity in Iowa right now that is now underway. Mr. Watland, let's have you back. Let's do a to be continued on this tomorrow night and get more into just exactly the findings of Tom Fitton, because his incredible work needs to be showcased and presented for the due diligence of factual based evidence that he continues to find. But in the little time that we have left here, did you witness any irregularities in your voting day?
No, I haven't voted yet. We will vote on the first Tuesday in November, which is the 5th. And Mary and I, we could, present an absentee ballot if we wanted to. We're senior citizens. We could claim that it's hard for us to get out, but we're able to get up and go vote. So that's what we'll do. And
so, okay, well, when you do that, we want to know how that goes for you and compare and contrast it with people around the country right now. But Mr. Watland, thank you for sharing this with me. I would love to have you. Let's have you back on tomorrow night. Go ahead, final thought.
Quick thing that I told you about that restaurant down the street. There's another restaurant called the Pizza Ranch that Mary and I was having pizza one night with my son and his significant other, and a whole bunch of, it looked like illegals, but I understand it was like a soccer team. Whole bunch of them come in, and you could tell a lot of them were not had color enough that they probably weren't from the Spencer area, but it was just really kind of strange. You don't see that every day. Like a whole busload of them came in for the buffet.
We know there's already a transitioning team for the Kamala Harris camp. The transition team is now been staffed and overtaken by the Obama team. That's been confirmed by Patrick Byrne. We know that these soccer players you speak of that might be coming from England are actually part of the Liberal Party over there, Labor Party, who came here to this country to help rig things. Also, Mossad, let's not forget about them. But Mr. Watland, we have to take off here. Thank you for sharing this. Let's do it again tomorrow night if you are around, as we have 4 more days.
Tom Fitton said that abated a dangerous site out in California, some dangerous sites.
Okay.
Regarding Chinese individuals that were running labs. I just wanted to bring that up. So
that's what it is. We're discovering there's a lot of laboratories in this country, and Wuhan is almost the deflection of design for that fact there. Mr. Watland, thank you for calling in. We're going to have you back here tomorrow night if time allows us to. Okay, thank you very much. We have one last story to get to before we get the H out of here. And I start my own gain of function into just exactly how we're going to just destroy these people. But I have to show you this now. This is the last domino to fall here. If it's not going to be election or just a stampeding migrant, illegals coming here, or if it's not going to be a nuclear war, well, what could it possibly be? Well, somebody kind of put things together as there's now a whistleblower for some just shadowy government groups that you don't even know about that are at play right now. And this particular one, they're called the Immaculate Constellation. The Immaculate Constellation stemming from the Pentagon. I'm going to tell you all about this. This is mind-blowing. Pay attention to this. We'll speak after. Check this out.
This involves aliens. There was a whistleblower talking about this program in the Pentagon, an undisclosed head organization over UAP, UFO. This thing is called the Immaculate Constellation. So this whistleblower went to Congress. Congress went to the Department of Defense, and they said, "We know that you have a undisclosed organization." They responded like, "No, we don't have the Immaculate Constellation." And they said, "We never said that." So now they are holding a congressional hearing on November 13th. There are going to be witnesses that come forward to divulge all. I truly feel that there is going to be a great deception that is about to happen. The faked alien invasion, what that ushers in is potentially a one world government. But there's people like Lou Elizondo and David Grush. They're saying there's an imminent threat. And I think these guys are fully planned because he said something along the lines of it's imminent. And I wish we had more time. Time is so valuable. I feel like they're setting the stage. So when something happens,
they offer a solution.
Yes.
Yeah, of course they are. This is Project Blue Beam, the dark side of it all. But we know all the angles of it. But just real quick, here's what we're talking about. Who's the whistleblower? This is a real thing. This isn't just folklore from a Instagram group of just wacky personnel. Well, the whistleblower goes by Schellenberger, one of the people connected to the Pentagon did not reveal the whistleblower's precise role or whether they are employed as a Defense Department employee or a contractor. But News Nation has met the whistleblower and verified the credentials and also independently confirmed the existence of the program with unrelated sources. And what is that? I'm talking about Immaculate Constellation. Yes, according to this whistleblower who I've been talking about, the Pentagon program collects, quarantines information on the UFOs, everything that's causing a lot of these hurricanes from unmanned, possibly unmanned, but unknown aircraft, no origin of state or country, just flying around the Gulf right now. Why? Sightings and encounters. Now, the program allegedly includes information from different types of intelligence, including high-quality image intelligence and measure and signature intelligence. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Well, how was the program discovered? Well, according to the Schellenberger, the whistleblower discovered the program by accident after stumbling upon a database containing UFO information, just like the movie War Games with Matthew Broderick in 1980. Yes, we watched that one as well. That's why you should become a member if you haven't already. Well, what kind of UAP incidents were described in the report? In one account, reportedly detailed the whistleblower, a group of orbs surrounded an F-22 and forced it out of its designated patrol area. Well, in fact, another incident, the crew on an aircraft carrier reported seeing an orange-red spear descend from the high altitude, described feeling uneasy as if they snapped out of a trance following the encounter. When asked, has the Pentagon responded to the allegations? Well, the Department of Defense spokesperson Sue Gu, denied records of the alleged program in a statement to News Nation just this past Tuesday. Well, by saying the following quote, the Department of Defense has no record, present, historical, or any type of SAP called Immaculate Constellation. Wink, wink. Finally, has the Pentagon acknowledged any programs of the such? Well, the Old Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the AARO, is allegedly a publicly known Pentagon program that collects, investigates reports of these unknown aircraft. Well, in this report, it denied any evidence of alien nature. The report did acknowledge the existence of the Kona Blue program, which is intended to reverse engineer and recovered of space alien technology. What we know about reverse engineering. So, is there going to be disclosure? Well, November 13th, mark your calendars, everybody. A bipartisan group of lawmakers have already pushed for more disclosures of this nature. While noting the specific nothing specific has been announced in relation to the report, and there will be a hearing held at the Senate Armed Services Committee following the election and a report from Nancy Mace, Republican over there, for November 13th. Something big is about to incredibly happen in just multitudes and multitudes of levels and days. Do we see? Okay, we're going to leave it there. Final thought here. This went a little longer than I expected. I'll be back tomorrow night. There's so much information pouring out. It's hard to keep up, but keep your eyes and ears and open to just everything around you. And if you have any information and you see anything unusual, feel free to email us here at Real Deal Media at info@realdealmedia.tv. That's info@realdealmedia.tv. Okay, I will be back tomorrow night. We're going to continue our talk, hopefully with the Tom Fitton report over there at Judicial Watch. Incredible work they do. In the meanwhile, for Jim Fetzer, Aaron Cates, and the rest of us here at Real Deal Media, I'm Dean Ryan saying thank you for sharing a bit of your night. We're going to go all the way to the election, and we're going to beat these people come hell or high water, because it's time. It's time to separate the Americans from the deep state, and we're going to crush these people. They know it. Get ready for war. A world at war. Good night, everybody.